right, party people, it's week 12, and we're going to continue our studies of writing equations of lines. This, and I put a couple examples on here for us. These two examples are a little more difficult to do than the previous video because, as you'll notice, the y-intercept is in between, on this case, 1 and 2. So we're unsure where that point is. So it's very hard to write an equation when you are unsure what the y-intercept is. This is the question mark. So I'll show you a trick on how to do it. So first thing we need to do is find the slope, and that's something that we covered in the last video, and we can easily rehash that now. So we're going to start at the lowest point here, and we're going to try to get to this point here. So we're going to rise up 1, 2, 3, 4. That's plus 4. Then we're going to turn left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So because we turn left, that's a minus 6. So our slope is negative 4, 6, which we can reduce that to negative 2/3. So that's going to go in for our m. Okay, now what we need is this y-intercept right here, right? We need this guy right here. It's between, let's see, let me erase this right here. Looks like it's between 1 and 2, okay? So we're going to have to use a little algebra to help us get that exact place where it is. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use this equation on itself, meaning y equals mx plus b. So first I want to write down the points. So we have 2 perfect points on this line. So I'm going to get rid of this and let's write out these points. Okay, so this point right here is 1, 1. And this point right here is negative 5, 5. Okay, so these are both xy coordinates, right? And if you'll notice in our equation, we have an x and a y, right? We have a y and we have an x. And now we know our slope, which is that negative 2/3. So let's use what we got. We know a y, we know an m, we know an x, and we can use that to help us find our b. So let's choose maybe this easier coordinate, this 1, 1 right here. So we'll put a 1 in for y into the equation. Our slope was negative 2/3. We're going to put a 1 in for x, right? So we're putting a 1 in for y, a 1 in for x, and we're going to use those 3 key pieces of information to help us find the y-intercept. So now 1 times negative 2/3 is just negative 2/3. And algebraically, if we need to know what b is, we're just going to add 2/3 to both sides. So we're going to have 1 plus 2/3. Okay, we can't add fractions with whole numbers unless we can get this whole number to have a denominator of 3. So I'm going to rewrite 1 as 3/3. And that's because 3/3 is the same thing as 1. This is like Superman, this is Clark Kent, same dude, different outfit. But now we can take the 3 plus the 2 and call that 5/3. So 5/3, if you think about it, is really like 1 2/3, which would make sense that that's the point we're looking for right here. Okay, that's the y-intercept. So we're going to write this equation as y equals, our slope is negative 2/3, x comes next, and we're going to tack on 5/3 because that is our y-intercept that we figured out. So this is the equation of the line. Took a little bit of work to get there, but I think we did a good job. Okay, let's look at this next one. I want you to try this without me, so pause the video and then come back. Okay, so if you're back, let's start at this point here, this lower point, and we'll go up 1, 2. We're going to find the slope. And over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 2, 6, which is really 1/3. Okay, so that is our slope. And then we can use one of these coordinates. We could use this coordinate here or this coordinate here to sub in for y and x, just like we did on the last one. So I'm going to try to use this one here. This is 5, negative 2. Right, that's a point on this line. Now remember, there's an infinite amount of points on this line. We're just going to pick one of them. All right, so we're going to use the equation on itself. We're going to put negative 2 in for y. We know our slope is 1/3. We're going to put 5 in for x, and then we don't know the y-intercept. That's what we're solving for. So 1/3 times 5 is going to be 5/3. And then let's see here, we're going to subtract 5/3. So -2/1 minus 5/3. Well, we need to make this denominator be a 3. So we'll change that to -6/3 minus 5/3. Okay, and just remember, -6/3 is the same as -2/1. This is Clark Kent, Superman. Same dude, different outfit. But now, since we have common denominators, we can take -6 minus 5 and get -11/3, and that's our B. So we're going to write our final equation. Y equals, our slope we found was 1/3 x, and then minus 11/3. And 11/3, if you think about it, would be 3 goes into 11 like 3 times, right? And that would be 3 2/3. So if let me erase this down here, we can kind of see that -3 is here, and -3 2/3 would be right there. All right, I hope this video was helpful. We'll see you in the next one.